guys, today I'm going to give you a tour of my brand new barn build. I named it Ivory Meadow Stables. I wanted something a bit fancier this time, so I decided to do a full-on white barn. I wanted to try and recreate the barn from my intro slash outro, which was drawn by an artist on Etsy. I will link their shop in my description. All credits go to that artist for designing the barn art on my channel, and that's linked in my FAQs as well. I absolutely love their stuff. But back to this barn, I decided to try and take most of the inspiration for the barn face from that channel art barn, and then of course I got creative for the inside. So I ended up expanding the whole back of the barn and adding like these panels to the sides and changing the layout to something new that I've never really done in a build before. It's kind of like a mix of classic barn, boho, and like a touch of rustic. So I really hope you guys like it. First of all, let's talk about the area around the barn. It's placed in this beautiful lavender field meadow, hence the name of the stable. I know the colors aren't an exact match to the barn's exterior, but I kind of loved that, so don't worry. I'm planning to build a cute purple barn in the lavender field next. But this is what it's looking like on the outside. So like I said, the outside of the barn is heavily inspired by the channel art barn. I tried to make it more 3D by adding a patio and some elements that give it more dimension. And it was a huge challenge to recreate beams that the OG barn has in Minecraft, but I took inspiration from like the triangular beam shapes of the inspo barn and did what I could, and I ended up really liking how it turned out. All right, let's get started with a little tour of the inside. So as you walk in, you go under this little archway, little flowers. Oh, and of course, I forgot to say, you have my cute little dog in his dog house. We gotta love it. I just put like a bunch of potted plants and flowers. And by the way, I will link all of the resource and mod packs I used in this build in the video description. But as you come inside, there is a little feed room to the right, and then there is a washing bay on the left. And I loved using all of these shower items for the first time. I've never used these before. I liked using them for horses. I thought I liked the idea of using this stuff for horses. I feel like you can be creative and use your imagination. Like these are different types of horse shampoos and things, sure. So this is what the shower washing bay looks like. Pretty cute. And then there are cross ties so you can tie your horse up so they don't run away and stuff. Realistically, I think this washing bay would be destroyed in seconds, but this barn is about idealism over functionality, okay? And on the right, by small feed room, I meant really small. So it's a little tiny. As you can see, we have a few feed bins and some quick access to tools, just to clean up the stalls and the walkways. I really liked these rattan, I don't know how to say that word, bins. They're very functional and cute. And the reason it's so small in here is because there's not very many horses in this barn. It's actually only like an 8-horse barn. So no need to have a huge feed room, I guess. Okay, but as you come inside the barn, first of all, I am obsessed with the flooring. So it's just this simple acacia wood, and I added some small dark wood in this like pattern square, and it's kind of along like the flooring in the walkways. That makes it kind of fun. And straight ahead is the tack room. So you can see this little tiny building inside the building is a tack room. It kind of reminds me of those like stacked dolls. Like what are those called? Where you have like a bunch of dolls inside the doll and they're like, it gets to like the smallest doll. So let's see what's inside here. But I did want to have a circular layout inside this barn and try something new. So all of the horse stalls are around the outside of the tack room, and then the tack room is central. So you can access it through the front, and you can see there's doors through the back too. So welcome to the tack room. As you can see, we have bridles on the left and saddles on the right. Once again, I'm obsessed with the packs I used for this build. They make everything so cute and fun and kind of realistic as well. For lighting, I lined the baseboards with these string lights, which I thought made it kind of fun, and it has a pretty cutesy vibe in here, but I tried to tone it down a little bit by adding some like oak patterned decor, and there are lots of plants and flowers everywhere in this stable, which I love. The inspo for this barn was plant lady meets horses, supposedly. And then up this ladder we have the hayloft, which is very cute and open. So I love how this ended up turning out. And since the feed room is really small, it's actually a really nice way to add a little bit more storage. So this is what it looks like from above. And then you can see what it looks like from below. We go down the stairs, you can see. And then I have things like a step stool and then like some saddle polish and stuff like that. And then my cat is just chilling, you know, straight up chilling. All right, we're gonna go back through the front doors, and then you can see what the hayloft looks like from the sides as well. It looks like that. It's just it's cute. I like it. All right, let's go meet the horses. So we can walk through the front doors of the tack room, and then I have all of these nameless horses. Oh, okay, perfect. He's trying to escape through the wall. By the way, there's this like community water bin right here. So you can have all horses like tied up, waiting to use the wash stall, or horses that are being untacked can just use this communal water bin. But also there's like this tiny bucket for people to use to fill up using the tap their horses' water bins. So then we have the horse stalls. I'll show you one of them. I'll show you this one since this horse isn't trying to escape. It's very simple. I kept it very simple on the outside of the stalls. I feel like my last barn stalls were really intricate and intense. I loved them, but I wanted this barn to feel more classic and simple. So of course we have some cute watering cans in between the stalls, of course. And if you go inside the stalls, they're not super big, but there's room for like a grain bin, a salt lick, water, and then like hay nets hung up by a string. I thought it was cute. And then of course, plenty of fresh bedding for the horses to scratch and whatnot. Okay, and then of course we have a lead rope because you need a lead rope for everything. And wild activities be going on in here, you guys. Wild shiz be going on in here. So this is one side of the stalls, and then the back of the barn is this way. So the past few barns I've done have been open, like the front and the back, so you could just walk in either way. But this one I wanted to feel more cozy, and so I had it closed off. So I built something kind of new and exciting, as you can probably see a little bit. First, there's a little kitchen and like a sofa. It's not too big. It's just big enough for some baked goods and some tea. You can pop those on there and enjoy. And I loved this painting. I thought it really brought like the barn colors together. I just found it on Google. So if you really keep going up these steps, you can see I have a little bit more decor and some lamps. But if you go up these steps, you have this little window tea room. I know there's a name for this in Europe, but I don't know the name. It's so pretty in here. This is one of my favorite parts of the barn, and it's a bit unexpected, honestly, with the theme and the design of the rest of the barn. I feel like I tried to tie it in the best I could by adding, you know, some of the same flowers and plants from the rest of the barn, and it works for me. There's a cinnamon roll too you can enjoy. It's so cute in here, honestly. So the idea is you can sit in here and watch the sunrise or set. Honestly, I don't know which way the sun goes. I guess it's setting right now, so that's pretty chill. And you can sip your tea after feeding the horses for the morning or for the night, and it's such a great view, honestly, and I find this room to be very charming. Anyways, if we go back through the other side of the barn, you can see that there are more stalls with more horses, yay, and we are going to go back out through the front of the barn since this is the only way in or out of the barn. It's pretty chill. We are going to check out the sheds. So these are around the side of the barn, and I call them sheds, but really they're just storage rooms that are only accessible through the side of the barn. They're just for like staff and whatnot. So basically, if we go into this storage room, you can see we have extra tools and supplies, some empty jars for herbs and things the horses need, and different kinds of hay as well. We can also check out the other shed. By the way, this is what the back of the barn looks like. You can see this is what like the window room looks like from the outside. It still looks really cute, honestly. It just works for me, you know? And this supply room or storage shed just has stacks of extra feed and other things that you might need for feed, mostly feed. There is another step stool and more bins full of apples and stuff. And then there are like medicinal herbs and supplements that horses might need in there. And then there's like, of course, the grain and stuff that is used to restock the feed room when it gets low. I really liked the outdoor storage facilities. I thought that they were so cute and fun. And it was also a nice way to utilize like the empty space that you sometimes have in barns when you can't utilize the corners of the barn. So it made me happy to be able to use it. Okay, I'm literally just gonna stand on top of the barn because I'm a baddie. And that's it for the tour of the outside, inside, and the sheds for the barn. As you've probably noticed, there are no exterior fences on the grounds. It is completely barren, and right now it's not the most safe terrain for the horses to be free roaming because the barn is built on a cliff and with a cave. So I do have plans for later on to add a paddock where the horses can be put out to graze, and I also want to add a little house or a living quarters on the grounds for like convenience. But this terrain is really fun for the horses to explore and get some exercise under supervision and to get some great riding and views. But all right, that's it for the barn tour today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the tour of Ivory Meadow Stables. Thanks for watching. Bye.
I'm on thin ice, you'd never guess. I've been hiding a monster, keeping it quiet. I do my best.